Come, Creator Spirit. Good morning. Here I am in a meadow above Silbury Hill, one of the great creations of the world. England's pyramid, roughly the same height and age as the pyramids, but a thing in disguise, friends. Look at it. Well, you can hardly see it behind me. I trust you can. It merges into the landscape so that it only rises up as you go down towards it. And it's almost lost from many views around here, and quite hard, I've discovered, to photograph. It blends in, it's curiously camouflaged, but is, when you draw close to it, it's the most striking thing. You can probably just see there's a white lorry driving past it there along the Bath Road. Silbury Hill. And I've come up here to consider the work of our hands, prosper the work of our hands, the psalmist prays. And we were thinking yesterday about the Creator Spirit. How do we make something of the days of our lives? And I wanted to share with you a couple of tips about that from John Ruskin, the great art critic and thinker of the 19th century. And a couple of interesting insights from him about the way in which we might view the work of the day, particularly the blend of thinking and doing. Ruskin says that thought and labour must go hand in hand, and that modern man has always tried to separate the two out, so that labouring people ought to be separated from thinking people in order that the labour be as good as possible and the thought be as refined as possible. He rightly, I think, completely criticises that and argues instead that one must infuse the other in order that labour is imaginative, that our work is imaginative and thoughtful, and that our thoughts are practical. I love that blend. It's a good blend to enter the day with. This is what he says. Now, it's only by labour that thought can be made healthy, and only by thought that labour can be made happy. And the two cannot be separated with impunity. Let me just read that again. It's only by labour that thought can be made healthy, and only by thought that labour can be made happy. It's a strong strand in Christian thought, especially Reformation thought, that we do our manual work as worship and do it with praise and thoughtfulness as our offering to God. That's the first thought from John Ruskin, but the second is even more striking. And he argues, this is him writing about Gothic architecture, but it's true of all of the labour of the day, that the imperfection of our work is what makes it beautiful, that it is essential that we accept and admit imperfection into our day's work, and not only acknowledge it but rejoice in it, because that is where the true humanity and the glory of it comes out. The finer the nature, he writes, the more flaws it will show through the clearness of it. Isn't that lovely? This is his reflection upon the unique contribution of Christian thought to art and architecture. But in the medieval, or especially Christian system of ornament, this slavery is done away with altogether. This is kind of to a kind of perfection in labour. Christianity, having recognised in small things as well as great the individual value of every soul. But it not only recognises its value, it confesses its imperfection. I'm just losing my page in my one-handed attempt to film as well. Only bestowing dignity upon the acknowledgement of unworthiness. So it's Christianity's acknowledgement of unworthiness that he sees affecting Gothic architecture and bringing out its beauty. Therefore, he writes, to every spirit which Christianity summons to her service, her exhortation is, do what you can and confess frankly what you are unable to do. Neither let your effort be shortened for fear of failure, nor your confession silenced for fear of shame. I think that's superb. Do what you can and confess frankly what you are unable to do. Neither let your effort be shortened for fear of failure, nor your confession silenced for fear of shame. It's in the imperfections that the beauty of things are expressed. So whatever your labour is today, allow those cracks. And we don't know really what the people who built Silbury Hill believed, but it's a very human thing in the landscape, and a recognisably human one. And so God bless you this day, wherever your ground is, and whatever the work of your hands. God bless you as you go to ground.